recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the ranking member as well. Welcome the witnesses. Mr. Chairman, it appears to me that Mr. Mulvaney has indicated that he would like to ensure that the director answers to the president in the exercise of executive authority, the director being the director of the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The law currently, as codified, allows the president to remove the director of the CFPB for cause. And I must tell you that I am adamantly opposed to the president who would ban the LGBTQ from the military with a tweet. Same president who would ban Muslims from this country. Same president who refers to professional athletes as SOBs, meaning their mothers are dogs. Same president who found that there were some very fine people among those at Charlottesville who were saying Jews will not replace us, blood and soil. One can only imagine if one of them happens to be a banker, how he would treat a loan from a person of African ancestry or a Jewish person. Same president who says that countries in Africa refers to some of them as S-hole countries. Same president who would fire the current AG, but for his belief that it would impact his future, has already fired one AG. I am adamantly opposed to this president having the ability to fire the director of the CFPB at will. This president has already demonstrated that he is integrating, if you will, his bigotry into policy. This president, if he had complete authority over the CFPB, given the way he's treating the Justice Department, one can only imagine what he would require of the CFPB. I am adamantly, absolutely, totally, and completely opposed to this president having that kind of authority to interfere with the independence of the CFPB. Now let's talk about discrimination. Everybody says, I'm opposed to discrimination. I don't think anybody ought to be discriminated against. As a matter of fact, let's do this quickly. If you think that people should be discriminated against in lending, raise your hand, please. Let the record reflect that no one has raised a hand. Now the question becomes, do you believe that discrimination in lending exists? If you believe that it exists, raise your hand, please. Only one person on the panel, let the record reflect that of the persons on this panel, but one person has raised his or her hand indicating a belief that discrimination exists in banking. For fear that someone may have misunderstood my question, allow me to ask again politely. Sirs and ma'am, do you believe that discrimination exists in lending in banking institutions? If you do, would you kindly raise your hand?
I don't think it's a yes or no question.
Again, there's only one hand, and we have one person who believes that it's not a yes or no question as to whether or not discrimination exists in lending in this country today as I speak. The empirical evidence shows it. Testing has revealed it. It exists, and we know it. And what we do is deny the existence so that we don't have to do anything about it. And for prominent persons such as yourselves to, by and through your testimony, indicate that you don't believe that invidious discrimination exists in banking, maybe I didn't use invidious. Permit me to ask again. Do you believe that invidious, harmful, that's what invidious means, harmful discrimination exists in lending in the United States of America today? If you do, raise your hand. Let the record show that Mr. Shelton is the only person who has raised his hand.
I'll second Mr. Hunt. I don't think it's a yes or no question.
You don't think it's a yes or no answer? We've come a long way, but my friends, we have a long way to go because you control what happens. And if you control what happens, and you sincerely believe that there is no discrimination in lending, we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go. I will yield back the balance of my time because there's not enough time to go into the behavior that has manifested itself today in this testimony. It's a sad day for this House. I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. With that, we go to the